Welcome to Go Lurk Yourself, a podcast about playing video games and streaming on the internet. My name is Crunky.
And I am Cherry Cake.
We're here today to talk about Christmas.
Woo!
Or whatever holiday you choose to celebrate in December. We try to be all-inclusive here and still, talk about what we actually like to celebrate.
Yep.
I'm not a very religious type, but I do get together with family this time of year, and we do a gift exchange, and we call it Christmas. Some people will get enraged by that, but that's what we do. How about you, Cherry? What do you guys celebrate at your house?
We're technically probably about the same as you guys. We do celebrate, I guess, Christmas, but again, we're not of the religious stature.
Variety. You don't go to church on Christmas morning first?
I do have relatives that do that. They go to midnight mass on Christmas Eve.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, as our immediate family, we don't do anything like that.
Awesome. Well, we talked about doing a Christmas themed episode this year and talk about a couple of different things, like stories from our past where we got video games or played video games with our friends and family on Christmas, or games we wanted and got, games we wanted and didn't get, and how that all played out. And then maybe like what we're looking forward to playing this year for Christmas. Right now, if you guys are PC gamers, you know that there's a massive Steam sale going on. And I know Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo often put games on this time of year for a discounted price. So you'll spend up that gift card you got or your Xbox Live card that you got for Christmas morning on something.
Yeah.
But so that's what we're going to talk about today. Cherry, would you like to go first and regale us with a tale of Christmas past?
God. No, because you're putting way too much hype on it.
This is the most amazing story you're ever going to hear, guys. We're going to talk about young Cherry on Christmas morning in 1987.
Oh my God. 87? 85? Wait, no, that was when I was born. Oops.
Did you get a gift when you were born?
Yes.
Your parents brought you home from the hospital and they're like, put a controller in your hand. All right, play, kid.
Yep. But yeah, if only I could have been an esports pro by now.
Right, exactly.
I think I probably talked about this before, probably when we did the retro episode.
Oh, okay.
But not my first memory of video gaming, but my immediate memory that comes to mind for Christmas is we had grandparents over the other side of the country. Unfortunately, not with us anymore, but we used to go and visit.
Way to bring it down.
Sorry. Apologise.
No, I'm joking.
We used to go visit them when we were younger, and travel over and stay over for the holidays and stuff. And I remember one particular year. I can't remember how old I was, but obviously old enough to remember it. So I must have been, I don't know, 7 or 8 or something like that. Okay. And I remember in the house that my grandparents lived at, there was a living room and then there was a separate dining room that was attached, but it had doors, so you could shut them. And the doors were shut, and it was rare for this to happen because they were always open. So I thought, okay, it's a bit weird, but we'll let it go. And eventually, when we got around to opening presents, because with my grandparents, we always ate first before we opened the presents. So we got that out of the way, and then we were let into the dining room, and there was this package, wrapped up present that was on the table, and it was addressed to me, my brother, and my sister, so all 3 of us. So,
it's a big gift when it's got all the grandkids
exactly,
on it.
Yeah.
And it's centered on the center of the table like a showpiece.
Yeah.
They have the big curtain and a girl in a slinky red dress pull a thing and open it.
They may as well have done.
They really put on a show for this.
Well, yeah.
That's how you know they spent a lot of money on it. They're you guys better appreciate this.
We appreciate the hell out of it. So we got around to opening it. Obviously, me being the youngest, didn't really get a look in, so I was just kind of spectating. I was the smallest as well, and we opened it, and it was a Mega Drive, and it came with Sonic.
For those people not living in the EU, the Mega Drive was called the Sega Genesis in the United States.
Apologies, yes.
No, it's okay. I'm just clarifying for the stupid Americans that are listening to this.
God, what a polarizing audience.
As a stupid American, I'm allowed to call them that.
Fair enough. So we got the Mega Drive, and I think it was Sonic. I want to say it was Sonic 2 because it had Tails with it, so we could have a 2-player.
Oh, nice.
which kind of sucks because there was 3 of us.
Right. Well, I'm sure as the youngest, they let you play in whenever you wanted.
Oh yeah, really, all the time. I always had first choice. I never had to be Tails or not play at all.
Yeah, you could play Tails or you could get out.
I legitimately never got to play Sonic. As the youngest, I always got relegated, unfortunately. But
well, at least you didn't carry that baggage with you for the rest of your life.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not bitter at all.
You have. I think now that you mention it, we have talked about the Luigi syndrome, which is little sibling syndrome of having like PTSD from never being able to play Mario or Sonic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think even when it came to like a little bit further down the line, where things like the N64, where even earlier actually, because my grandparents also had a SNES and they had Donkey Kong Country.
Oh.
And I was always playing as Diddy Kong. But with that one, you had to tag each other in and out. So it was up to the person that was leading you to tag in you. So you didn't get a choice whether you could play or not. You could just go and follow the person who was playing as Donkey all the way through the level without actually getting a look in. So yeah, that was always fun.
Oh, man.
Anyway, yeah, so we opened that and we got Sonic 2 with it, and remember playing it. We set it up actually on the dining room table with like a portable TV connected to the Mega Drive. And
was it a black and white TV?
No, it was a colour one.
So you never had the luxury of gaming on a black and white TV?
But weirdly, after that, I did. Because for some reason, my grandparents, they moved from that house eventually, and they moved to a different place. And they had this really old... it was a black and white TV, the one that, like, where it had the button on the TV to change the channel. It would just, like, go chunk, 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 chunk when you would turn it to change the channel.
I remember those, yeah.
And it had buttons that you could, like, turn the volume up and down, and it like, one on each side, and you just have to physically press it in so hard for it to go up or down, lower volume. And
one of the first remote controls I remember seeing. That's right, I'm older than remote control television. Was this
remote
big
control on a wire? Because I've seen them before.
No, I've not seen those. It was just like 2 wires you had to push together, like a hot wire in a cart. No, it was as big. I was younger too, so it probably wasn't exactly this big. But what I remember is it was big as a stick of butter, and it has like a spring-loaded one button on it that, like you said, you push down until it goes click.
Yeah,
and it would literally do, like you said, just cycle through the channels. Because at least back then where I lived, there were only like 10 channels at most anyway, so you could cycle through it pretty quick. But anyway, so I keep interrupting your story. Please continue.
No, it's fine. I think we only ever had like maybe 4 or 5 channels at that point. So we didn't.
And they were all BBC 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5.
No, it was
Sky.
BBC 1, 2, ITV, which is channel 3, and channel 4. And I do remember when I was younger, we had Channel 5 getting introduced and actually launching. I remember that. But I think that was just before the days when like Sky and, digital satellite and stuff like that was coming into effect. So it was kind of a big deal. I do remember that, though. It's really weird.
See, I'm not that much older than you.
No, only a few years. You only got a few years on me.
So you hook up and you play Sonic, right?
Yeah. The only game that we got with it.
How long did you guys play it that day? Like all day?
Oh my god, just for hours and hours and on end. even if I rarely got to play it, I absolutely enthralled watching it, because it was something that was so unique and different and fun and interactive to do. Mm-hmm. It was incredible. It really was. I was absolutely taken with it.
How many fights did you and your brother and sister get into about it?
Not so many over Sonic.
Okay.
But we did. We ended up playing. I don't know if you remember a game called Road Rash.
Yes.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, it's like a racing game, but you're on motorbikes or motorcycles, and you have weapons that you can use. You race along with other racers, and the objective is to get first place, but you have weapons that you can use to aid you in knocking the people off. and it's quite a violent game.
Yeah, you literally just beat the crap out of people with whips and chains.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sticks.
Clubs, chains, electric rods. I think there might be a board with a stick in it, a board with a nail in it.
He's got a board with a nail in it.
Yeah. But yeah, I do remember we had a bit of a fight over that. At one point.
Did anyone get hit with a stick? Did
No.
anyone get... No? Okay.
No, I was because I do remember we were playing in not the bedroom that I'm recording this in, but the other bedroom that my sister is in. We were playing it on there. My brother had a friend around, and obviously Road Rash is only a 2-player, so there's 4 of us, so we had to take turns if that ever happened.
Yeah.
So I think my brother and sister were playing, and I was being a brat. Like I was young, and
I refuse to believe that.
Shut up! I was being impatient, and I wanted to play because it looked like a lot of fun. I was watching them for ages, and I was like, "Oh, can I play? Can I play?" And I started like jumping on bed because I was getting like I say, impatient. And I think
you were throwing a fit. Just say.
No,
I was getting rather impatient. I mean, I was jumping on the bed, going, "I want to play. I want to play."
Well, my memory doesn't recall that amount of brattiness, but
I can talk to your brother and sister about this and find out what really happened.
I may have to do if they remember it. But yeah, other than that, like me, my brother and my sister, we get on pretty well when it comes to gaming.
Yeah.
I don't have too many memories, fortunately, of us fighting over games. But yeah, getting the Mega Drive and Sonic 2 at my grandparents' is definitely one that I will forever remember.
That's cool.
Christmas time gaming gift, I guess.
Because you got to actually play it Christmas morning with the family, and your grandparents were involved. And it's funny that you bring that up, because grandparents... I've not talked about this at length, but I was born in the late 70s to very young parents. My mom was in high school, and so my real dad was right out of high school, and they just were not ready to start a family. They tried to make it work and didn't last very long. And then my mom, a couple years later, got remarried, and that her new husband adopted me when I was very young, and I don't really remember much before I was 2. And so that when I talk about my dad, I'm talking about my adopted dad. But every now and again, my biological grandparents would want to visit me or have us come by. And I remember being young going, who are these people? I couldn't understand who it was. And when I was maybe 5 years old, I want to say 4 or 5, I went over there like the week of my birthday, and I know this is not Christmas, but your story reminded me of it. And they gave me my first console ever, which was an Atari 2600.
Oh.
And I didn't. When I opened it up, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't watch a lot of TV. We didn't have cable television, so I'd never even seen a commercial for it. And they're like, "It's a video game." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." But my Christmas story. Is it my turn to tell a Christmas story yet?
Yeah, go for it, man.
So. I just told you I got the 2600 console, and I never got another game for it. I just got the games that came with it. It was like one of those bundle packs,
Yeah.
And then I bought my first Nintendo. I've told that story. I bought my own first Nintendo, and I even bought my own SNES when it came out. I think it came out in September. But for Christmas that year, I asked for. My mom was like, "What do you want for Christmas this year?" And I was like, "You know what? I'd love to get a." I'd love to get a game or two for my SNES, and those were $60.
Yeah.
Or 50, I think at the time they were 50, and my mom, was not very well, or we were not very well off, so I honestly didn't think I was going to get one, and she flat out told me, "No, I can't afford to get you one of those." I was like, "That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll just save up." But anyway, so Christmas Eve, I go downstairs, or not downstairs. I go to the living room, and I see like what's obviously a SNES box, and there's 2 of them. I'm like, there's no way. In my mind at the time, I was so young. I was like, there's no way that's what those are. And then I snuck down after everybody went to bed, and I literally opened one of them to see what it was.
Oh yeah,
because I couldn't sleep. I was just tall as a turtle. I'm like, it can't be a SNES game. Oh, it is.
I know.
And I opened it up, and I saw that it was Street Fighter 2. for the SNES. And then I felt really guilty about. I mean, I put it all back together, and my mom never knew. The next morning I went and opened it, and I acted all surprised. And,
no way.
Yeah.
Health, man.
Well, she got me that, and she got me Sim City for the SNES.
Oh, man, SimCity's a throwback.
Oh yeah, and that was a port. It was on PC first.
Yeah.
But yeah, the SNES version of Street Fighter 2 was like the biggest thing for kids my age. Like everybody I knew, I think it had come out maybe November or early December. It had recently come out, and all my friends were playing it, but I didn't have it. And I was like, oh my god, I got it finally. And I played that day. I played the absolute hell out of it.
So does this go to a ways as to explaining why you're such a big Street Fighter fan then?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You have to remember at the time, like, the only place to play Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter was at the arcade. And that was like a huge thing that no one thought about it would ever come to home consoles because it was too sophisticated. Like, people don't understand like the average person doesn't understand as much about graphics today as like what the average gamer did then. When people saw the motion capture stuff of not Street Fighter's sprites, but the motion capture was on what is that game called? Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah.
They thought this is the most sophisticated, realistic graphics I've ever seen, not realizing it was just photos that they took of actors and turned them into sprites.
Yeah.
But that's why their animation was all janky looking, because they were tying these little, animations together. But home consoles just weren't powerful enough to do that kind of animation in everyone's mind. So when it came out, everyone just jaws hit the floor. But what was funny is that Christmas. So as I mentioned, my mom got remarried and then divorced again. Had my sister, got divorced again, and we would go visit my adopted father's family on Christmas afternoon. So we'd get up at home, my mom's house. We'd have Christmas morning, right? We'd open up gifts, we'd hang out, and then my adopted father would pick us up, and we'd go to his mother's house, my grandmother's house, and we'd have Christmas afternoon, evening, and we usually stay over there for the night with them. So I packed up my Super Nintendo, and I took it over there with all my games on it, and my mom does not game at all, never got into video games one bit, doesn't understand it. She's the kind of person, you give her the NES controller and she tries to move it with her arms.
Oh yeah, I think that's before the thing.
I think it is,
because my mom does the same.
My dad's side of the family, and my dad is the middle of three brothers, and they were very much into gaming. They would, so I took the SNES over there. And even though I had these new games, all they wanted to play was Super Mario World. They loved Super Mario World. So we would sit there. We had Super Mario World, and I think it was the same year. It could have been the next year. I'm getting my stories confused. I had Donkey Kong Country for Christmas that one year. Yeah. And we played those games. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. And when most parents were like, okay, it's getting past midnight, you need to go to bed. My dad's like, okay, it's my turn. I want to try. And we were sitting there till 4 o'clock in the morning. We would stay there for a week. That's what it was. We stayed there for a week, and between Christmas and New Year's, and we'd stay with him until New Year's Eve. Because my adopted dad was in the U.S. Navy.
Oh yeah.
So when he'd have shore leave, he'd be home for a week, and that's when we'd all hang out together. But we would sit there and stay up all hours of the night trying to beat the last Mario level, or beat the last Donkey Kong level. Do you remember those Minecart levels?
Oh God! You know what? Actually, I replayed that not too long ago. I think it was the beginning of this year, because I've gone through a retro phase, and I was struggling for things to play, because it was a period in this year that there weren't any games that had been released or were close to be releasing that I wanted to play. So I was kind of looking back, and I think I ended up playing maybe a bit of Mario as well, but I played Donkey Kong Country, and I remember hating the Minecart levels at the time of playing them, but when I went back to play it now, I actually really enjoyed them.
Yeah, this is after you've beat Cuphead, so you're like, oh, this is old school stuff.
Well, yes, that's true.
Yeah, that's interesting. That I found sometimes when I go back to games I had a lot more patience for when I was younger, I don't have it now.
Yeah. Also, the fact, like, I remember playing games. I off the top of my head, I can't remember any. Maybe something like F-Zero, and at the time when I was a kid playing them, I had such good reactions and I could play them easily. Going back to play them now, I can't do crap in that game because I just can't play them. I don't know, it's probably just because I'm old.
Well, you get older and you're like, you don't have the motivation to like, and the patience to like work out the minute details because you're like, oh, this is stupid. I'm just going to play something else. I'm going to play something I already know how to play. But I know exactly what you mean. Inadvertently, I never was able to play Mario Kart for the SNES.
Oh, God.
My first Mario Kart was the N64 one.
Yeah.
So when I finally got the ability, I think it was on like one of the virtual consoles, I'm like, oh, that'll be fun. Play the 16-bit version of Mario Kart. It plays like a freaking rusted shopping cart. I can't even do it. I'm like, this sucks. Bad. How did anybody play this?
And the AI as well are just so OP because like you have a specific rival that you play like who, depending on who you play with, and they will just beat you.
Yeah, they have like AI that lets them catch up when they legally shouldn't be able to. They literally go faster than their cart's allowed to go.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that because last year for Christmas, just to keep this on point, I got my wife, the Sunny D, on Twitch TV. I got her a SNES Classic because they were really hard to find last year, and I have a friend of mine who is a store manager at Best Buy, and he goes, "Hey, dude, did you still want a SNES Classic? I kept one back for you." I'm like, "Ah, bro, yes, I do."
Nice.
So I went and got it, and I gave it to her, and she played it on Christmas morning, and she's played it all throughout the year. And there was one thing you had in order to unlock. A never before released game that came on that was called Star Fox 2.
Oh yeah.
Star Fox 2 was made late in the development the console's lifetime on SNES, and like 3D games on PlayStation were already out, and Star Fox 2 was just basically a slightly modified version of Star Fox 1 with the terrible OG Star Fox graphics. So I think they shelved it as to not have a relatively old looking game come out late in the console's life cycle. So yeah. When they brought the SNES Classic back, they're like, this is the perfect time to bring this back. And in order to open it, you have to beat the first level of Star Fox 1. And I'm like, that's a particularly low bar for people to unlock it. Then I realized why, because you go back and play Star Fox 1 and it's like, how the hell did anyone play this thing?
No.
You're rendering a spaceship in 3D space, and you're using digital inputs to move it. So literally, there's no like slight turn and hard turn. It's just all hard turns.
Yeah.
It's like you feel your character just flying all over the screen. Did you play Star Fox at all?
Yeah, we had that, and I do remember playing it. I remember do a barrel roll and everything else that came in with it. But I do remember playing like the first bit of it, maybe for 5 minutes. I'm like, nah, I'm out. Not liking it at all. No, I couldn't play it.
It definitely has not aged well, and in retrospect, I got to give it to Nintendo for having the smarts to go, we can't put this out, and I feel bad because the developers that worked on it. I watched this like YouTube video, and it shows them like, we put a lot of time and energy and effort in this, and it never saw the light of day. And I'm like, well, I feel bad for you. It's not your fault that they had you work on a game that just missed its market, missed its timetable. But
man, the N64 is definitely one of my favorite consoles of all time. Just some of the games on there are just so like looked over, and I have such fond memories of that console.
It came out right before Christmas too. Did you get one right before Christmas?
To my knowledge, I don't recall if we did or not, so I can't confirm or deny that, I'm afraid.
You don't remember getting any N64 games on Christmas?
No. The thing is, what we tended to do, because this was back in the day, was that we rented games instead of actually buying them. So
absolutely,
we would head down to Blockbuster.
You guys have Blockbuster Video there? Nice.
Yeah. Well, initially it was called the Ritz, and then it rebranded to Blockbuster Video.
Blockbuster bought them out.
Yeah, and we used to. There was a bit like, it was huge. The one that was in town. We would like, my mum would probably use it as a bribe, if anything. So she needed to go into town for something, to pick up something. She's like, if come along, keep me company. I'll let you rent a game. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And again, being the youngest, because there was 3 of us, I never got a say in what we rented. So,
Oh,
yeah. But
tell your brother and sister when you random walk by and punch them this afternoon that I'm sorry for bringing all this up and get you pissed at him again.
no, the thing is, like, it kind of evolved into the point where we all had kind of the same tastes in video games anyway. So
Yeah.
even if I didn't get like a say in what we got, I was still happy with what they picked anyway. This is a little bit off topic, but one thing I specifically remember my brother doing, which I was really annoyed about, was when Final Fantasy VII came out for the PlayStation 1, I was a massive fan of it because this is something that I'd never seen before, and it had a massive story, a really good graphics for the day, and really good gameplay and everything, and my brother had been playing it before me, and he purposefully spoiled, I'm assuming this isn't a spoiler because it's so flipping old anyway, but I think I'd done something to annoy him, and he turned around and said, "Ares dies." No, she doesn't. Yes, she does.
That's such a big brother move.
Yeah. So I didn't believe him, because that was just me being stubborn and naive, I guess. But eventually, as I got through
You thought
the
he was
game,
just doing it to be mean, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was just doing it to be a big brother and be a tool.
I'm glad you edited that.
Yeah.
To be a big brother.
So yeah, when I got to it, like I task you to find anyone who loves the Final Fantasy series. When they get to the point where Ares dies, they didn't cry, because that was one of the absolutely most heartbreaking scenes I've ever seen.
I've never played Final Fantasy VII, but I know enough about video games and the lore behind them to have heard about this, and like that people spent years trying to figure out a way to keep her alive or bring her back after the end, and I've heard all about that. But I've never played 7. When at that time I had moved out of my mom's house and was like scraping pennies together to eat, so I was somehow able to afford an N64 but not a PlayStation at the same time.
Yeah.
So I had an N64 it was right before Christmas in '96, and Dee and I had just got an apartment together, and of all time dickhead things to do. For Christmas that year, I bought Dee Star Wars Shadow of the Empire for Christmas.
Okay.
And with the idea that we'd play it together, and she played it for like 5 minutes because I don't like this game at all.
Oh, no.
And it was bad. It was not a good game. But I just recalled another Christmas story. Do you have another one?
Not off the top of my head, no.
All right. This is before the SNES came out. I had asked my stepdad or my mom and my stepdad for the Power Glove. Do you remember the Power Glove? Do you know about the Power Glove?
Retrospectively, yes. I didn't know it at the time, but I know about it now.
So for anybody who's listening who doesn't know what the hell the Power Glove is, basically in the late 80s, then the NES was like king of the video games for a certain age group. Atari had died out, killed the market. The Nintendo had brought it back. It was right before Genesis came out, I believe. This is either right as or right before Genesis came out. I don't remember the exact timetable. I was pretty young, but there's a movie that came out at the theater called The Wizard, and it was Fred Savage from Growing Pains, and he went on this like Nintendo World Championship, and he was like the idiot savant gameplay, or actually I think it was his little brother was, and they take him on this thing and to compete in this championship game, and they like literally in the movie before Super Mario Brothers 3 came out, they had footage of the game in the movie.
Oh yeah,
And Nintendo like co-produced it or funded it. I don't know exactly all what was involved, but it was this. I've never actually even seen the movie. That's how long ago this was.
Oh.
But there was a guy on the commercials, the trailers for the film that was showed on TV. There was a guy playing with this thing called the Power Glove, and he was like super cheesy 80s guy, and his hair slicked back, and I think he had a leather coat on. He goes, "The Power Glove is my life," and it shows him playing video games, holding his hand out, and it looked very sci-fi 80s future. It was like this gray plastic glove that you literally put a glove on, and it had on your forearm, it had like a black box with buttons and a keyboard on it, and it was super impractical because it would go on your right hand, So if you're trying to type with your left hand on it, anyway, but it would literally show him like reach out and grab a ball with his hand and pull it back. It was very, you know how like right now VR is kind of bad at tracking.
Yeah.
It wasn't very. It was way worse in the 80s. Like, so it looked amazing, and I was like, oh my god, the Power Glove is so awesome. It's VR. It's amazing, and the trailer showed a guy like, you know, jumping and like punching, playing punch out, and like punching the guys in the boxing game.
Yeah.
So Christmas morning comes, and I had no idea. I mean, it was like, I think it was $80 back then.
Ooh,
might as well be a freaking new car now, but
yeah.
My mom and her boyfriend scrounged together and got it for me for Christmas. This is a nice way of saying that even though we didn't have anything, my mom always made sure my sister and I got great Christmas gifts. She was amazing. But I opened it up. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing! And so I start taking it out of the box, and I put together. It had, you know how like the Nintendo has the sensor bar that goes on top of the TV.
Yeah.
Think about a sensor bar, but it was like 3 giant, I want to say 3-inch by 3-inch cubes that connected with wire and had like a plastic connectors, and you put 2 of them on the top of your TV and 1 hung down the right of your TV. And even if it didn't cover your whole TV, that was the sensor bar setup.
Okay.
So you had to put that on your TV, plug that into the NES, and then you also had to plug your Power Glove into the NES. It had like a extension cable.
Okay.
And I remember the first game I hooked up, I think I was playing at the time, was Castlevania 2.
Oh, wow.
And you had to hold your arm out like you were putting your hand on a table, right?
Yeah.
And you could jump by taking your pointer finger and moving it down. There was like a sensor in the fingertip. Mm. And then you could twist your arm to the right or left like you're turning a key, and that would do certain things. Or you could like make a fist. But the bad thing was the tracking, like of what was a jump and what wasn't, was like so janky. It was basically unusable for most games.
Yeah.
Like, and you could like reassign using the tab. You could reassign what you wanted to do what. And I spent probably 10 to 20 hours with it trying to figure out what is a good combination, and nothing would work. And I remember like I played with it Christmas morning. I never touched it again. And my mom and my stepdad were like, that was the worst gift ever. And I'm like, no, you have to understand, it was a good learning lesson for me because I learned about the power of marketing and how effective it is at duping everybody. But it was a huge bomb. Like after it sold, like word of mouth got out, nobody bought it.
Yeah. Oh man. I will say, just on that topic of the Power Glove, if you haven't checked it out, there is a streamer called Grand Pooh Bear, who he likes specializes in Mario and everything to do with Mario games. He beat one of the Mario games. I can't remember which one off the top of my head it was, with the Power Glove as a controller.
I bet.
Yeah. So if you can go and find that, do, because it is such a feat that how anyone manages to use that thing, I don't know.
So you've seen like the video of how the finger movements make them do stuff.
Yeah.
So what I've seen when I see people do that is they figure out like which command, because you can do several different ones, but which one actually has the most like reliable use. And Mario's only got 2 buttons, B and A, right? So you just got to figure out which one's which and which jump button can be reliable. Yeah. Well, actually, you have a D-pad too. You got to worry about on that one.
Oh, well, yeah, true. You'd have to move, I guess.
Yeah. Because I don't think you can use the D-pad that's on the armband to move. But it's been a couple years since then.
It's been a minute.
It's been 30 years, I want to say.
Oh wow.
Gee, so what about this Christmas cherry? What's on your wish list? Well, I know what was on your wish list.
What was on my wish list?
You were just telling me about the BioShock series?
Well, yeah, that was a series along with quite a few others that were on my Steam wish list, which have gone on sale recently, obviously with the Steam Winter Sale that's just come up. I have been desperately trying to limit myself of looking at things because this is the first year that I've been like, oh, that's quite good, I'm gonna get that. Oh, that looks even better. Oh, I'm gonna get that. Oh, that's quite cheap. I'll get that. Most years, it kind of passes me by because there's nothing really like urgent that I want to play. But for some reason this year, I've just gone down my wish list and be like, yep, get that. I'll probably never play it, but I'll get it anyway. So I have an absolute backlog of games that I will be playing this coming year for sure.
Nice. Yeah, the thing with Steam sales to me is like I go through spurts where all the best deals or all the things that I normally would jump on, I've either already bought them or made a decision that I don't want to play them.
Yeah.
And then like you, I've got a backlog like you wouldn't believe. I was just talking about I think either to you or I think it might have been Dama yesterday. I don't remember. There's a game coming out called Atlas. That's like a Sea of Thieves MMO type game.
Yeah, it's just been released.
Yeah, it just came out last night. It got delayed several times, and I was watching college play it. And I'm like, I got a key from like noise.gg that if I stream it for an hour, I can have a free copy of it. And after watching a couple people try to play it last night, I'm like, I don't think I could even handle an hour of this.
Yeah. I was in, after watching college, probably the same as you, I was in Cynic Chris's channel. He was doing Dead by Daylight, but we were talking about Atlas. And this is such an absolute garbage move, right, from these people. I can't remember who the developers are, but they made Ark Survival Evolved, is it called?
I think so, yeah.
And what the Unicorn here was saying in chat, what they've done is she went into the actual files of the game, and there are some files in there that are just copy and pasted from Ark.
Yeah. Straight
into that game. They've not even bothered to rename them.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, they probably use the same engine, and they're probably trying to, Ark has made its money, and if you're in the position of developing a game, and you're like, well, Ark has a certain aesthetic, dinosaurs, and
this has dinosaurs.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Nice. Aren't they focusing this more as like a pirate game? I thought I saw them on ships and stuff. It looked.
Yeah, but there are still dinosaurs in there. I saw College kill one.
Nice. Well, you gotta do what you know. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that they're because they're making like an MMO, and it really seems to me like they're a smaller run studio. They're not like a big major EA publisher with a giant development house underneath them. I think they're a smaller crew, and the reason I say that, I have no idea how big the guys who made Ark are, but they've had big PR moves to release the game like Tuesday or Wednesday this week.
Yeah.
And like right at the time or right past the time it was supposed to come out, they're just like, guess we're kicking the can down the road till Friday, guys. Sorry. And then Friday comes and they're like, we're not ready. We're still getting the final build out, and all that stuff screams to me like they're like a smaller team. They're trying to fly too close to the sun. That's what it sounds like to me. And then I watched the game, and I think it was Dama last night was like, for as many people that are excited about this, it looks kind of janky. And he said, he goes, I can't believe it was Shroud had 55 or 60,000 people watching him, and it booted him out and he couldn't connect. And he goes, Why wouldn't the people who make this game just make sure that this Atlas has its own server for the big streamers, and keep it stable? Because he goes, it's such bad press for him. And Dama works for a giant corporation, and I go, Dama, they're not a giant corporation like you're used to with a big environment and a bunch of safety nets and redundant things to keep things from breaking down. I think they're literally a small ragtag group of game developers trying to them against the world. So I judge them on that scale. Like I always find myself rooting for the little guy. So I want to see him do well, but I'm not the biggest pirate game guy. Like we both know Snuffus will play anything with pirates in it, even if it's broken.
Well, I've yet to witness any piratey kind of action in the game.
Okay.
But my knowledge of it is very limited. But I will say, again, Unicorn here, who was talking this morning, made me laugh so hard because she was looking at Atlas. She was planning on buying it before she read all the bad press that it was getting, and she went onto the reviews on the Steam page, and the most upvoted one that was on the top of the page is the most accurate pirate game I have ever played. It's stolen all our money. 10 out of 10. It made me laugh.
Can't argue with that. Yeah, it was funny because it went on sale like late last night. I was watching college try to stream it. Like literally, he had 20, 25 people watching him try to log in for 2 hours.
Oh my god! I was watching him this morning, and like he was traveling through the ocean, and just the glitchiness of moving on the water was horrible. And he said like,
oh yeah,
he'd been sat there for 25 minutes trying to get to this other place. He'd heard stories of other people sitting for 2 to 3 hours just to get to another island.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least after an hour of sitting there, they'll get the game for free if they're streaming.
That's a bonus, I suppose. Yeah. I was looking on the bright side.
Doesn't cost you anything but your time and dignity.
Well, yeah.
So, what are there any other games you're looking forward to for 2019, or looking forward to get for Christmas, maybe?
For Christmas, I think I'm pretty much sorted. There are some PlayStation 4 ones that I do want, but have already been released earlier in the year, so I will be picking up them when I can. And
did you get a PlayStation 4?
I might have done.
Oh, nice! Congratulations.
My immediate one after Christmas is Resident Evil 2 remake. That's coming out in January.
Is it actually on schedule? I hadn't heard it was coming out January. That's cool.
That is a good point. As far as I'm aware, it is. I haven't heard anything different, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But that's one that's on my radar, regardless of when it comes out. Speaking
of Resident Evil, did you play Resident Evil 4?
No, I did not.
You ought to pick that up. There's a remaster for it on PlayStation, pretty cheap.
Oh, okay.
Or it might be on. I think it's on PlayStation. It's one of the ones that doesn't translate well to PC. I remember looking at it. It's on PC, and I looked at it, and everyone's like, "Buyer beware."
Yeah.
Because it was like made for a controller, and they didn't port it over to controller. So if the people who get it running the way they like it install like 1,000 mods or something, I was like, I don't want to mess with that.
Yeah, sure. What about you? Anything next year that you're looking forward to?
There's not. I think next year is going to be one of those years that like surprises me because I'm not following it close enough right now to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that. That's great. I'll tell you what, I went to my mom's side of the family's get-together last night, and I kind of gauge how well things are happening in video game world by, like, what I overhear some of them talk about, because they're not all super gamers.
Yeah.
And I heard so many people talking about getting their kids Switches for Christmas, wow. Nintendo Switches, and my nephew was wanting one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that, it's made it to that, I'm not going to say as successful as Wii, but it's made it to that level where like people who normally don't game are like, have you heard about this Switch thing? It's like a video game thing, but it's not a video. It's like an iPad with a controller on it. I'm not like, oh, okay. So like non-gamers are talking about it. This is right on the heels of Nintendo announcing it's at this point in its lifetime, it's the of this generation, the number one fastest selling console.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I think it's a very, very well done. I guess you could call it a console. I guess. Portable console. I think it has that, probably like you said with the Wii, it has that, it's bridging that gap between actual gamers, people who game for a long time and people who don't particularly game. So for them to be able to fill that with something like the Switch is phenomenal. I'm very impressed with the Switch. I'm so glad that I have one.
Yeah, Dama and I were talking about it, and I pulled up and I know VGCharts.com is not like the 100% most accurate, but it's what I use as a barometer for. It's not like most accurate for like last month, but for year to date, it's pretty close. They go back and update constantly if they get better information. And this year in 2018, the Switch has almost doubled up Xbox One sales. Like not lifetime, but year to date, they've sold twice as many as Xbox One has. And this is the year that Xbox One X came out.
Yeah, see, that doesn't surprise me though, because I don't feel like Microsoft have done themselves any favors with the Xbox. Even if you are a console gamer, I feel like a lot of people would, I don't know, prefer a PS4 over an Xbox. It just doesn't seem like they've hit the mark with that console, so it'd be interesting.
Exclusives and whatnot.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what they come up with in the future.
It's funny because there's a generation ago with the 360 and the PS3 and whatnot. The only people who were buying Wii's and Wii U's were like Nintendo nostalgia junkies like me. Like I love Nintendo because it was one of my first consoles I remember having. The Atari was the first one, but the Nintendo, I was old enough to like get in and have a serious nostalgia for like Metroid and Mario and all the Nintendo and Zelda, all these like great IPs that are, you know, stoked in the lore of video games, right?
Yeah.
Well, now there's a whole generation of people, like streamers we know, younger people, but adults who have like a soft spot for the Xbox 360 for that reason, because that's the one that they had that was the coolest thing ever as kids, and that carried Xbox One through. There's some people who still love Xbox, even though they'll sit there and tell you, if you want exclusives and good games and content, you got to go to somewhere else. But I still love my Xbox One because I played the Xbox 360 as a kid so much. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because I was one of those people when they had the massive competition between the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. I had a 360 because I had a boyfriend that had the PS3, and it had so many problems with that console. It was ridiculous. It was big. It was clunky. It had very few games. It had software problems. It had gaming problems itself, and the Xbox kind of just worked. But the shoe seems to be on the other foot right now. Yeah.
And then you got Nintendo with its phone app for voice chat.
Oh, God, no.
Have you tried to use that yet?
No, I don't even intend to.
It's the most terrible thing I've ever seen. I've not used it since it launched on Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
I tried it just to have an experience at it. But, I just play here at my computer and through my monitor and plug in and use Discord.
Yeah, I think quite a few of us do that, man.
I mean, can you imagine if Nintendo had like a Bluetooth app that worked with its console? You could just put a headset on and play it wherever.
Oh my God.
I mean, it'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever done that.
They should look into it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that should about do us for our Christmas episode. Do you got anything more you want to talk about? Or have we hit all the major stuff?
Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything we discussed.
All right, guys. Well, join us next week when we talk about 2018 Game of the Year awards and a year in review, and then a look toward 2019.
Woo!
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. You guys should turn in for that. But until then, how can people get a hold of you, Cherry?
These days, Crunk, I am on Twitter. So if you guys want to contact me on there for anything, any reason involving anything at all, you can get me. I'm at cherrycake518. And if you want to ever drop by stream, usually streaming on weekdays, GMT, I guess, for anyone that's overseas.
Greenwich Mean Time.
Yes, yeah. You can catch me at twitch.tv/cherrycaketv. What about you, Crunk?
I am on Twitter at crunky_twitch. And that's 2 N's. And you can also see me stream at twitch.tv/crunky with 2 N's. I stream East Coast time, US, usually weekdays after 4 or 5 p.m. for several hours. And then on the weekends, I kind of get in when I can. I got family commitments, so I sometimes stream in the mornings, or sometimes streams at night. You just never know, and that's part of the fun.
Ooh.
Until next week, guys, thanks for being here, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.